Hi everybody, I'm very delighted to meet you again in my YouTube channel. In this occasion we are going to talk more about speech acts. To refresh our mind what speech act is, we had better sum up what I have discussed previously in my two previous videos. Pragmatics is a branch of linguistics that underlies a lot of issues, one of which is speech act. Speech act is composed of three basic components, namely Locutionary Act, Illocutionary Act, and Perlocutionary Act. Locutionary Act is the occurrence of when a speaker makes or speaks out an utterance to the listener, and then the listener can understand what the speaker says. Then there will be a kind of exchange or conversation. When it takes place, Locutionary Act is now going on. The second one that will be our concentration now is Illocutionary Act, and after this, in the next chapter, we are going to talk about Perlocutionary Act. The Illocutionary Act is the contents of the speech of the speaker, as well as the speech in response to the speaker says, put forward by listener. And then Perlocutionary Act is the effect of what is stated in Illocutionary Act. But this last type will be discussed later on. Now let us concentrate on Illocutionary Act. Illocutionary Act is the whole idea or the content of your speech. Whatever the content or the purposes of the speech spoken by the listener and by the speaker should be categorized in Illocutionary Act. To understand this comprehensively, there are 5 types of Illocutionary Act, namely assertive, directive, commissive, expressive, and declarative. Let's now talk each one of them. Assertive, that is also commonly called as representative, as stated by you, is the act of speech or the speech put forward by the speaker to make the listener believe in what he says, that what he says is the truth. So he tries to convince the listener. There are some elements that can convey assertive or representative namely assertion. Assertion is something that gives information to the listener and to try to explain it as clearly as possible, and the final end of this, in order to affect the listener to trust in what he says. Another one, description. In order to describe what something is about, how something looks like, what even is going on, and so on, we have to use description. Normally, description is the literal language to make things understandable. For instance, if you want to know what car is, then you have to make description of what car is. If you want to know, or if you want the listener to get to know how things are conducted in certain events, then you can use description. For example, you can say that a dog is a mammal animal belonging to cat family, having four legs and one tail, that is furry, and that barks to respond to what it encounters. This is description. And then conclusion. After the speaker has made already vivid information or comprehensive information, no matter how long it might be, and so on, he can make conclusion to remind what has been stated before, so that the listener can understand, can comprehend what he means, what he said. The next one, you also state something, right? By giving statement concerning something, then you believe or you expect that the listener will understand what you mean. And another one, there is also what we have a kind of report. Suppose that you attended a seminar and then you give what was going on there by trying to give a report. You give the report about the issues of the seminar, the objective of the seminar, who are the participants that attend the seminar, and how it was going on. Then you can also make an information or to inform. So you inform your listener what you want to express as the content of your thought. So you inform. For example, your dad has just gone to Jakarta, and that you want to let your listener know about it, and that you can inform. My dad went to Jakarta yesterday morning. This is what we mean by report. The report can be report of an event, report of action, report of investigation, research, and so on. And then you can also use a kind of assumption, yes, or let me say a prediction. Yes, the sky is so dark, it is likely to rain soon. You predict something. The corona pandemic will not go on for another year, since the vaccinations has been widely carried out across the globe. So this is a prediction. Then you can say the word believe. I believe in what he explained to me because he majors in that field of science. I believe that Manchester United will be the World Cup champions, for example. Then you can also use the word guess. I guess he doesn't understand what we mean. I guess our proposal will not be accepted. Then you can also say agree, to express agreement to something. Say, for instance, somebody offers you a kind of compromise, a kind of proposal, a kind of something to do in relation with your daily work. Then you say, I agree to this, because you have been used to doing such a thing, and from his explanation, you agree to what he says. That is, provided with a lot of argumentations and a lot of examples. And then the second one is directives. Directives derives from direct. So when you use directive in Locutionary Act, then the speaker gives direction or direct the way how something has to be done, right? You can also say, you need first of all to study carefully the preliminary instruction of how you have to follow the mechanisms. Then you have to read references, and then you have to read the research report of some experts in the same field. This is what we mean by directive. Okay? And then it can be comment. You ask the listener to get things done. And I say, don't do it. Concentrate your mind on the issues of our talks now. This is command. Another one is request. For example, would you please do me a favor? I just really need your assistance. I just cannot do it myself. This is a request. Right. It can also be a kind of order. I order you not to do it again. The boss order every staff to start working early in the morning at 6 o'clock. This is what we call by order. And then suggest or suggestion, to give suggestion. I suggest that the draft be revised. I suggest that you take a break for 5 days since you are not so healthy in the past 5 days. Right? This is suggest. And also can be expressed in another way. You had better do this first. If I were you, I would continue my study to Melbourne University. These are suggestions, examples. Now, something important that you remember from directiveness or directives is it can be conveyed in positive and negative sentence. All right. The third one is commissive. Commissive indicates the future effect or the future action. If you talk now, then it will be actualized in the future. That's like a promise. I promise you to buy the new version of the computer when I come back from America. This is in the future because you promised. It does not happen yet. So it's one of the commissive Illocutionary Act. Then what will happen in the future? Maybe you threat. If you dare to do it again, I will fire you. This is a threat. Never do such a foolish thing here. You make everybody embarrassed. This is a threat. You don't have to come here again. If you come here, I'll drive you away. And then you can also make a pledge. Yes, I pledge that I have to abide by every single point of rules that is effective in this office. I pledge not to leave you anymore. I'll always be with you. Okay? This will happen. We don't know whether it will come true or not at the moment the speaker speaks, but it will be in the future. And then refuse. I don't think I can join you. He doesn't want to follow what the boss has instructed to him. Yes, so the outcome of these speech acts or commissive is in the future. It will take place in the future. This is commissive kind of Illocutionary Act. Another one is expressive. Expressive is a kind of psychological feeling. What you are feeling emotionally and psychologically because somebody has done something very helpful to you, and then you say, "I thank you so much." Okay? Then you have also a kind of apology. "I'm sorry. I apologize for what I have done to you so far. I apologize that I have to leave you for 1 year because I have to study overseas." Yes, this is expressive. And then it can also be a kind of surprise. "Oh my God, how could I come such a great outcome? How could I pass the exam? Thank you. Thank you." This is to express a kind of emotional feeling, right? To mention the surprise. Then you also can use the word praise. Right. You're just as smart as Einstein. You clarify everything very comprehensively and rigorously. This is an example of expressive. You praise somebody. Okay? Then you maybe experiencing a kind of resentment because of something bad that you don't like done to you by another person. I think you should know better than that. You can also say this. That your happiness, you are happy. Yes. I'm really satisfied with the result of my exam. Next time, I'll do the same thing again by working hard before facing examination. All of these are the expression of expressive, namely psychological feeling. What you feel, you express it via expressive illocutionary act. Then the last one, the fifth, declarative. Declarative, can be a declaration. Declaration? Yeah, Declaration of Independence, for example. A president of a nation says, for example, I hereby express to the globe that we are an independent nation. This is declaration. And then probably a president says, I name this building George Bush. It is declaration. I name this building George Bush. Okay? So, whenever you declare something, it will result in change. There will be change. Okay? And then I name this big project as the pilot project in a space area of the United States. Okay? And the next one, it is announced that the travel ban will be lifted soon, because the threat of the outbreak of the disease does not longer exist anymore. This is it. And, to give emphasis to what somebody declares or the speaker declares is to use hereby. I hereby inaugurate this great event. I hereby open the tournament. All right? But this thing, of course, has to be done by somebody who has authority to say that in order it to be true. If you don't have authority to do something, then your speech or your directive is not valid. It should be refused. For instance, you are not a judge, but you say, I sentence you 5 years in jail. It is not acceptable because you don't have authority to do that. This is one part of felicity conditions that we have discussed before. All right? So these are illocutionary acts. So whenever exchanges take place between two persons or more, then there should be Locutionary Act, Illocutionary Act, and Perlocutionary Act. Perlocutionary Act will be comprehensively and exhaustively talked about in the next chance. I thank you so much for your attention and enthusiasm and endurance for joining and following my speech. Goodbye.